Chapter 61. If you want to die, don't drag me into it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing Wang Mingyang coming back with a large ball of metal, Mu Ningxue and Su Yu's eyes shifted over, but the 4 college students who were rolling and crawling behind him made the 2 of them stunned. Could it be that Wang Mingyang has changed his personality? Gathering all the metal together, Wang Mingyang glanced at the few people who followed him to the rooftop and curled his lips. These metals should be enough to build a simple overpass. You go first and I'll cover you. Wang Mingyang ignored the college students and began to melt the metal and build the overpass. When the college students saw the 5 people in the corner, they showed a hint of surprise and joy on their faces and ran over quickly. Ding Cheng. I didn't expect you to be alive. That's great. A boy wearing glasses said excitedly when he saw the handsome boy at the beginning. Lu Ming, you are still alive too. I saw you being chased into the classroom by zombies before. How come? Ding Cheng was surprised. He originally thought Lu Ming was dead, but he didn't expect to see him again. Zhang Yan and I blocked the door, so we survived. The others. Lu Ming turned to look at the other 2 men and 1 woman, his face bitter. There were at least 10 people running to the classroom with him at that time, but most of them died in just a few dozen meters. Zhang Yan, Song Jing, Li Haoyan, I didn't expect you are all still alive, it's great. Ding Cheng sighed, he saw only a few people in a classroom full of hundreds of people. Who are these classmates? Zhang Yan, a girl with short hair, looked at the other 4 and asked in confusion. She didn't know these 4 people, they should not be in the same class. Oh, this is Zhang Biao, Lun Yan, this is Sudan, Lu Mei. Ding Cheng turned around and introduced the 4 people. They are from the Department of Finance, and they happen to be in this building on the day of the zombie outbreak. Do you have food and drinks? Zhang Hu asked, his voice a little hoarse. No, we have been staying in the classroom and have been hungry for 3 days. Ding Cheng was stunned, then shook his head sadly. On the first day of the zombie outbreak, after the initial fear and panic, Ding Cheng and his friends waited until the outside was a little calmer before they bravely searched the classroom carefully. They only found a few packets of biscuits and 2 half-drunk bottles of mineral water, but in the following time, they found nothing, and there were still zombies wandering in the corridor outside. The 4 of them have been hungry until now. The 2 groups of people gathered together, their haggard faces full of fear and anxiety. Hunger and thirst made them weak all over. Ding Cheng, what's wrong with those 3 people? Does that man have the legendary superpowers? Lu Ming approached Ding Cheng and asked in a low voice. The other people also looked at Wang Mingyang in surprise. A large mass of metal was floating in front of him, constantly twisting and deforming. I don't know either. Just now, the 3 of them suddenly rushed up. That man should have the ability to control metal, very fierce. Ding Cheng's eyes were filled with a trace of yearning and fear. Very fierce. Lu Ming was puzzled. Yes, we were almost killed by him. Ding Cheng recalled the scene of the steel pipe flying in the air and piercing his throat, and his body trembled slightly. Ah! No way! How can he kill people? Lu Ming exclaimed, and then said indignantly. Shoo, keep your voice down. Ding Cheng saw that the 2 girls around the man more than 10 meters away seemed to have heard something, glanced over here, and immediately pulled Lu Ming and scolded in a low voice. What's the matter? He has some ability, but there are so many of us, are we afraid that he will do something violent? Lu Ming looked disdainful. Ding Cheng curled his lip speechlessly. This guy must have shit in his brain. At that time, the 3 of us were holding steel pipes in our hands, but in an instant, the steel pipes were controlled by him to fly up and directly against our throats. Hiss. Are you kidding me? Look, he can control such a large ball of metal freely, and you still want to fight him? If you want to die, don't drag me into it. The whispers of Ding Cheng and Lu Ming were heard clearly by the people around them. After getting the affirmation of Zhang Biao and the other 4, Lu Ming and the other 4 took a breath of cold air. 9 pairs of eyes just stared blankly at Wang Mingyang kneading the dough there. After a while, Wang Mingyang stood at the edge of the rooftop with the large ball of metal. the metal ball slowly floated out of the rooftop, and metal wires extended from the sphere and shot straight to the opposite rooftop. Under Wang Mingyang's control, the entire metal ball quickly connected the two buildings. A steel plate that was more than 10 meters long and 30 or 40 centimeters wide gradually took shape. The remaining small ball of liquid metal was stretched into several steel cables by Wang Mingyang and hung on the edge of the rooftop to pull the steel plate. There is too little metal. This is the only way for the time being. You go first. I will use my supernatural power to control the reinforcement. Wang Mingyang sensed the simple overpass and frowned. Okay, Datsu nodded and jumped onto the overpass holding the edge of the rooftop. He took a deep breath and quickly ran to the opposite rooftop. The steel plate suddenly bent into an arc. Wang Mingyang raised his palm and held the steel plate firmly, so you walked lightly and looked straight ahead. After a few seconds, he had landed safely on the opposite rooftop. It's my turn. Mu Ningxue saw Suyu land, immediately jumped onto the overpass, and quickened her pace to run to the opposite side. When several college students saw that both girls ran over, there was a commotion. Zhang Biao, brother. Can we follow you? It's too dangerous here. Li Haoyan, yes, yes. Brother, take us with you. Lu Mei, I can do anything for you, as long as you can keep me safe. Sudan, I can do that, too. Handsome guy, you will protect us, right? Several people talked at once, stumbled up, and ran towards Wang Mingyang. The beautiful girl also made a delicate voice, trying to arouse Wang Mingyang's desire to protect her. Unfortunately, they misjudged Wang Mingyang's patience. Get lost. I don't have time to help you. If you want to survive, go kill zombies yourself. Before several people rushed to his side, Wang Mingyang jumped up and quickly walked to the opposite rooftop. Several boys saw that Wang Mingyang wanted to leave without hesitation, and they were immediately anxious. Zhang Biao gritted his teeth and climbed directly to the edge of the rooftop. He didn't care that this was the 6th floor, and stepped onto the overpass tremblingly. Wang Mingyang ran to the middle of the overpass at this time, and suddenly felt his body fall. He immediately increased the energy output and regained control of the overpass. Looking back, I saw two boys, Zhang Biao and Song Jing, already standing on the overpass, staggering forward. Seeing Wang Mingyang looking back, the two of them smiled awkwardly, but they did not retreat at all. This overpass can't bear so many people. If you want to die, I won't stop you. Wang Mingyang's eyes were cold. He stood in the middle of the overpass, and slowly turned around. Brother, don't, you see there are zombies everywhere here. If you don't take us with you, we will die of starvation and thirst if we are not killed by zombies. Zhang Biao's face was covered with a few drops of cold sweat. He glanced at his feet, his mouth twitched slightly, and he quickly raised his head and looked at Wang Mingyang with a hint of pleading. Yes, brother, if we die like this, you have to bear some sins, right? Song Jing looked flattering, but his words were a bit of moral kidnapping. The other college students were also leaning on the side of the overpass at this time, and Lu Ming and Li Haoyan's eyes even glanced at the two steel cables pulling the steel plate. Oh. Sin. Wang Mingyang looked at the college students opposite him with a playful look, and a hint of sarcasm appeared on his lips. Brother, we have no other intentions, we just want to follow you to save our lives. Lu Ming smiled slightly and leaned against a steel cable. Hee hee. In the end times, the only right way for people is to save themselves. Don't blame me for not reminding you. Wang Mingyang stopped talking nonsense, stepped hard, and leaped straight to the opposite rooftop like a rock spreading its wings. Chapter 62, Frustrated Ding Cheng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing Wang Mingyang jump up, the steel plates suddenly bent, and Zhang Biao and Song Jing's bodies shook violently. Lu Ming and Li Haoyan, who were still a little cautious at first, were a little dumbfounded when they saw this. Unexpectedly, Wang Mingyang was still 7 or 8 meters away from the edge of the rooftop, so he jumped directly over. Several people on the rooftop suddenly exclaimed, and the sound attracted the zombies rushing downstairs, who all looked up. The next moment, part of the corpse group split off and rushed directly upstairs. The zombies are coming. The zombies are coming. What should I do? Those zombies are too scary. Block the door. Hurry! Several college students screamed in surprise, and Ding Cheng and others hurriedly found something to block the door. Lu Ming was still standing on the edge of the rooftop, staring at the opposite side. Wang Mingyang landed firmly on the rooftop opposite, turned around and frowned at the two people squatting on the steel plate and shaking left and right. Don't care about them? Mu Ningxue asked calmly. I don't care about people, but the iron plates have to be taken away. They will be needed in the next few buildings. Those two people won't fall down. Su Yu was stunned. Humph. What does that have to do with me? Wang Mingyang said disdainfully, folding his hands and looking at the opposite side at leisure. Zhang Biao, Song Jing, come back quickly. That steel plate can't hold it up. Ding Cheng put down a cement board, stood up and turned around, seeing the two people still standing on it, he couldn't help but said anxiously. Yes. Yes. Come back quickly, don't fall. The other people shouted after hearing this. The two people on the steel plate were also riding a tiger and couldn't get off. Song Jing, who was at the back end, looked back tremblingly and couldn't help but whisper. Zhang Biao, let's go back. This steel plate is going to fall. Okay, withdraw slowly. Zhang Biao was also frightened at this time, and the dense zombies under his feet made him even more frightened. The two moved their steps and turned around slowly. Lu Ming, please help them quickly. Ding Cheng saw the two of them turned around, but Lu Ming was still standing aside, and shouted hurriedly. Seeing this situation, Lu Ming sighed secretly and had no choice but to step forward to help, but the zombies downstairs kept roaring and charging into the building. When Song Jing lowered his head and moved, he saw this scene, and his hands and feet trembled with fright, and the steel plate suddenly swayed to the left. The two of them screamed, and Song Jing fell down. The screams resounded throughout the teaching area, and with a muffled sound, a group of corpses swarmed up from downstairs. He fell. On the rooftop opposite, Mu Ningxue screamed in surprise and watched helplessly as the boy opposite fell downstairs. The other boy was also unstable and fell down. Help me quickly. Lu Ming, help me quickly. Zhang Biao grabbed the edge of the steel plate dangerously, and his whole body hung on the steel plate. Lu Ming was also startled and subconsciously reached out his hand, but Zhang Biao was still some distance away from the edge of the rooftop. Even if Lu Ming stretched out his hand, he still couldn't reach him. Hold on. Hold my hand. Ding Cheng, who was blocking the door, saw this and rushed over. The other people blocked the door with objects while looking back, but no matter how Ding Cheng stretched out his hand, he still couldn't touch Zhang Biao's palm. This steel plate was shaped by Wang Mingyang through his superpower, and its surface is very smooth. Zhang Biao's fingers had already begun to sweat, and the muffled sound of Song Jing's fall made him feel terrified. The next moment, in Zhang Biao's desperate eyes, his fingers slowly slid, the steel plate suddenly bounced up, Zhang Biao let out a miserable howl, and his body fell straight down. Bang! The group of zombies below was excited, and blood suddenly spattered. Zhang Biao was instantly submerged under the zombies. Why? Why? Ding Cheng stretched out his hand helplessly downwards. Although Zhang Biao was not his classmate, he was very familiar with him after getting along with him for several days. Song Jing is his classmate who has been with him for 2 years, and they usually have a good relationship with him, but these two people, who had not died in the hands of zombies before, now fell before his eyes, and were even eaten by zombies at this moment, death without a burial place. Ding Cheng slowly raised his head and looked at the expressionless man with his hands on the rooftop opposite. You are obviously capable of saving us, why are you so cold-blooded and ruthless? Ding Cheng roared, his eyes turning red. I have already said that in the end of the world, the only way for people to save themselves is to save themselves. Wang Mingyang stretched out his right hand and slowly raised it. The huge steel plate slowly floated up and floated straight to the rooftop where Wang Mingyang was. If you just want to rely on others to survive, then I suggest you commit suicide as soon as possible. Otherwise, you will find that falling directly from the stairs is a very good way to die. Also, you'd better not offend me again, otherwise, I will take action directly next time. Wang Mingyang glanced at Lu Ming sharply, then turned around calmly, controlling the steel plate and walking towards the rooftop on the other side. Su Yu and Mu Ningxue glanced at the college students opposite with complicated eyes, then turned and followed Wang Mingyang. Lu Ming's face suddenly turned pale, and Wang Mingyang's eyes full of murderous intent and warning really scared him. Obviously, Wang Mingyang had already noticed his little move just now. If you do it next time, you will definitely die. Ding Cheng looked at the backs of the three of them and disappeared around the corner. An unexplainable feeling of frustration arose spontaneously, and the excited roars of the zombies below could be heard. Ding Cheng was so angry that his blood seemed to boil, and he punched the rooftop guardrail. A strong force hit his fist, and a corner of the solid concrete fence was smashed open. This punch seemed to release the frustration and anger in Ding Cheng's heart. Ding Cheng, you! Lu Ming, who was beside him, had a look of horror on his face, staring blankly at the smoke-filled fence. After venting his emotions, Ding Cheng gradually calmed down and couldn't help but look at his fist. A touch of gray metallic luster spread from the fist to the arm, and it seemed that the gray color was still spreading to other parts of the body. Ding Cheng felt a powerful feeling all over his body. A large gap appeared in the fence near his fist, but his fist was unscathed and he didn't even feel any pain. It all felt a bit unreal to him. What's wrong? A strong feeling of hunger came over him, and Ding Cheng felt that he could eat a cow at this moment. Have you awakened any supernatural powers? Lu Ming stepped forward, grabbed Ding Cheng's fist, and looked left and right with envy on his face. I don't know, I just feel full of strength, but also feel super hungry. Ding Cheng murmured to himself and looked at Lu Ming in confusion. How about, you try punching me again? Okay. Ding Cheng was stunned for a moment, then looked at the cement guardrail, took a deep breath, and raised his fist to hit the guardrail again. Bang! There was another muffled sound, broken pieces flew, and a gap was opened in the strong guardrail again. Wow! You really have awakened your powers. The two of them stared at the two gaps with their mouths open, and then jumped with excitement. Ding Cheng suddenly jumped 2 meters high, screamed in midair, and staggered to the ground. It's true. I can actually jump so high. Ding Cheng shouted excitedly. Damn it, I didn't expect you to have awakened your powers. It seems that man is not the only one who has awakened his powers. Lu Ming was also very excited. Ding Cheng's awakening showed that he also had a chance. As long as he can awaken his powers, his chances of survival will be higher. He has read all the apocalyptic movies, TV series and novels. People who can awaken special abilities will definitely be the protagonists in the future. Ding Cheng, what's wrong with you? If nothing happens, come and help. The zombies are coming. Zhang Yan stacked the bricks in her hand in front of the door. When she turned around and saw Ding Cheng and Ding Cheng still chatting excitedly, she couldn't help but yell. Regarding the deaths of Song Jing and Zhang Biao, these people seemed not to care at all when their own safety was threatened. Come on, come on. Lu Ming turned around and responded, patted Ding Cheng on the shoulder, turned and left. Ding Cheng clenched his fists and looked downstairs sadly. If he had awakened his powers earlier, these two people might not have died, but now it's all to no avail. Ding Cheng can only secretly make up his mind to protect the remaining people. His stomach growled, and a strong sense of hunger brought him back to reality. The metallic luster on his skin quickly faded. Ding Cheng grimaced, rubbed his stomach and turned back to everyone. The scene of his awakening just now was only seen by Lu Ming for the time being, and he had no intention of spreading it widely. The zombies had already rushed to the iron door and violently hit the door leading to the rooftop. The 7 college students worked together to hold the door tightly, not daring to relax at all. Chapter 63 B-Grade Steel Skin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If Wang Mingyang was still here just now, seeing Ding Cheng's performance, he would probably be surprised to say. B-level steel skin, that within 7 days of the apocalypse, those who can awaken their superpowers are actually very talented. B-level steel skin is much better than most people. In the apocalypse, sometimes awakening first means that you can get more crystal cores first. 7 days later, you will be one step ahead of others in strength and level. Even if you have a D-level power enhancement like Xiao Ding, you have the opportunity to be promoted quickly. if the opportunity is strong enough. It is not impossible to stand at the top. In the 5 years of the previous life, only a small number of people with B-level steel skin could awaken this level of superpower. In the early stage of the apocalypse, steel skin is a superpower with very strong defense and is very practical. Facing ordinary zombies and mutant creatures, it can basically not break the defense. As long as you are not exhausted, you can completely rush through the zombies. Ding Cheng was lucky to be able to awaken this ability on the 5th day of the apocalypse. Wang Mingyang controlled the steel plate overpass, and took Su Yu and Mu Ningxue across 3 teaching buildings in succession, and finally saw the library dozens of meters behind the teaching building. Brother Mingyang, is that the library you want to go to? Su Yu pointed to the 5-story building in front. Yes, but it's a bit far away, and the overpass can't reach it. We can only find a new way. Wang Mingyang rubbed his chin and looked around. There were many zombies gathered in the small square in front of the library. The movement of the car just now didn't seem to attract them. Wang Mingyang roughly estimated that it would take about 3 hours to scan the collection of books in this library. Counting the time to clean up the zombies in the library, it would be almost 5 or 6 o'clock when everything was done. However, Wang Mingyang didn't plan to leave Yunnan University. He originally planned to stay in this university for the next few days. There are several other universities around, and there are libraries in them. When the time comes, just find a teacher's dormitory or something to live in. There is no need to worry about food. There are a lot of food and drinking water in the mustard space. There are also many supermarkets, canteens and so on in the university. Even if they are occupied by someone, they don't have to worry at all with their strength. There are many zombies in the library. Are you still going to use the previous method? Mu Ningxue looked at the surrounding environment and said uncertainly. Forget it, there are not too many zombies here. When the zombies in the teaching area are quiet, we will try to clean them up and give you some practice. Wang Mingyang shook his head, walked to the other side of the rooftop, and lay on the fence looking at the teaching building under his feet. There are fewer zombies below. Most of them were attracted by the movement just now. With him watching over the remaining zombies, Su Yu and Mu Ningxue can exorcise them. The 2 women looked at each other and shrugged helplessly. The 2 stood together with their backs against the fence, just watching Wang Mingyang looking left and right. Take a break. In half an hour, we should be able to do it. Wang Mingyang stood up, sat on the fence, took out a cigarette from his pocket and lit it. Okay, you decide. Mu Ningxue nodded gently, and pulled Su Yu to find a corner to sit down. On the 5th floor of the library opposite, a young man with a ponytail, wearing a blue t-shirt and cloth shoes, was reading a philosophy book with relish. Several bookshelves were overturned, and the books were scattered all over the floor. There were a lot of bloodstains on the ground, but no corpse was seen. The young man stretched his waist, and through the gap in the curtains, he suddenly saw several figures on the rooftop opposite, and he couldn't help but exclaimed. Slightly opening the curtains, the young man came over and saw the 3 figures opposite, but he only saw the backs of the 2 girls, and the other young man was Wang Mingyang. Oh, quite handsome. Unfortunately, he is not as good as me. The young man smiled, gently stroked his bangs with his fingers, and glanced at the group of corpses in the small square. There are so many zombies. It's a pity for so many cute girls. Ah. With a sigh, the young man sat back in his chair lazily, picked up the book and continued to read. Half an hour later, Wang Mingyang patted his butt and stood up on the rooftop, and 4 flying swords flew out of his pocket. Let's go. Let's kill them all the way. Oh. Okay. Su Yu and Mu Ningxue quickly stood up and grabbed the horizontal swords leaning against the wall. Pushing open the iron door of the rooftop, Wang Mingyang took the lead and walked down. 4 flying swords floated beside him. When he walked to the corner, Wang Mingyang saw 2 zombies in the corridor. Suddenly, 2 flying swords shot out and pierced the heads of 2 zombies respectively. The rest is up to you, I'll hold the line. Su Yu and Mu Ningxue nodded, and walked down the stairs with the horizontal swords. Mu Ningxue skillfully applied an ice shield to Su Yu, and Su Yu looked around at the stairs with both hands holding the sword. The blade knocked lightly against the wall, and the sound quickly attracted the zombies on both sides of the corridor. A dark flame emerged from Su Yu's palm, wrapped around the blade, and slashed at the zombies on the right. The dark red blade light flew out, and the zombies were immediately cut in half. Several ice cones shot out, piercing the heads of the two zombies running in the corridor on the left, and the bodies crawled on the corridor due to inertia. After 2 days of fighting, the two women obviously cooperated much better. After dealing with the zombies in the corridor, Suyu turned around and walked downstairs. When he saw that no zombies had rushed out of the classroom, Wang Mingyang stood aside and watched when he encountered a small number of zombies along the way, leaving it to Suyu and Mu Ningxue to deal with. He would only take action to deal with them quickly when he encountered more than 10 zombies besieging him at the same time. Under the shooting of 4 flying swords, except for the zombies he deliberately let go, the rest of the zombies were accurately pierced through the heads by the flying swords, killing them with one blow. The 3 of them quickly killed their way to the first floor along the stairs. They didn't care whether there were any survivors in this building. Under Wang Mingyang's control, the flying sword quietly cleared the 20 or so zombies near the staircase. Wang Mingyang took the 2 women into the stairwell. There were already corpses lying on the ground outside, and no zombies were standing within a range of 30 meters. Wang Mingyang glanced at the zombies in the small square through the back door of the stairwell. At present, there seemed to be at least more than 200 zombies. There are quite a lot of zombies in this small square. Let's clean them up as quickly as possible and make as little noise as possible. Suyu, don't use your explosive blade light. Wang Mingyang whispered. Got it, Suyu nodded. That move has good lethality, but it will produce a big explosion and attract the zombies left in the teaching area. I'm responsible for the front. Suyu is on the left, Mu Ningxue is on the right. Don't leave the 10-meter range around me. After Wang Mingyang finished speaking, without waiting for the 2 women to respond, the mustard space was activated, and a ball of titanium alloy metal appeared silently in his pocket. Stepping out of the back door of the stairwell, a small path led directly to the small square. Wang Mingyang and the other 2 walked less than 10 meters, and several zombies on the edge of the square found them. After a few dull roars, the zombies opened their bloody mouths and rushed over with their broken bodies. Wang Mingyang's mind moved, and the metal ball in his pocket quickly turned into more than a dozen small flying swords, and together with the original 4 flying swords, they shot at the zombies. The movement of several zombies on the edge instantly awakened the rest of the wandering zombies. Horrible faces turned towards Wang Mingyang and his group, and low growls like spitting phlegm came out of their throats. The next moment, the zombies surged, and the tide of zombies rushed towards the 3 people quickly. Chapter 64 Planting Chives. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The flying sword array was in front of him, and Wang Mingyang focused his eyes and controlled more than a dozen flying swords within a range of 20 to 30 meters. This distance became a death zone, and most zombies would fall in this area. A small number of zombies ran over quickly, and Suyu and Mu Ningxue would quickly step forward to deal with them, in order to limit the speed of the zombies. Mu Ningxue took herself as the center, and a circle of ice chips quickly spread out, lowering the temperature within a range of 5 meters around her. All zombies that entered this range had a layer of frost on their bodies, and their movement speed dropped significantly. Suyu stepped forward with a knife and quickly dealt with these slowed zombies. This was a new skill that Mu Ningxue developed when she and Suyu were cleaning the houses. The consumption was a bit large, and it was currently more suitable for group attacks. If you want to point to a certain target alone, further improvements are needed. However, it is quite suitable to use it here. Wang Mingyang and Suyu, who were near Mu Ningxue, were not affected at all. Obviously, Mu Ningxue had good control over this skill. At least she could distinguish between enemies and friends. In this way, the zombies close to him were basically no threat, and Wang Mingyang also let go. More than 10 flying swords flew out of his pocket again, and a total of 27 flying swords shuttled in the air. However, Wang Mingyang did not choose to kill this group of zombies, but cut off the zombies' hands and feet as accurately as possible, leaving the torso and head. Zombie sticks lay on the ground, and the broken limbs and arms were scattered on the ground like trimmed branches. Although Suyu and Mu Ningxue were very puzzled, it was not the time to ask questions at this moment. The 2 were used to doing things first and then asking questions. Half an hour later, the 3 finally solved the zombies in the small square. Even the small number of zombies in the library that were attracted by the noise turned into zombie sticks lying on the ground. nearly 300 zombies, most of them turned into this ghost appearance. Otherwise, with the speed at which Wang Mingyang's 27 flying swords shuttled back and forth, it would probably only take a few minutes to deal with this group of zombies. Mu Ningxue looked at the blood on the ground with disgust, and walked towards the library on tiptoe. Wherever she stepped on the road, she froze everything she encountered, avoiding being bitten by the stick zombies and not getting bloodstained. Suyu silently raised a thumb and followed Mu Ningxue's footsteps. Wang Mingyang touched his nose and followed helplessly. He was thinking in his mind how to explain this somewhat weird behavior. You can't just say that in 2 days, crystal cores will appear in the brains of these ordinary zombies. This is too obvious. By then, everyone will know that Wang Mingyang must have a problem. I wonder if I can find a copy of the Book of Changes to read and extract a divination technique. By then, everything can be attributed to supernatural powers. Wang Mingyang thought about it with some hope, but it was just a thought. Reading the Book of Changes, I don't know how many brain cells will die. The gain is not worth the loss. If you have the energy, you can just create a few S-level abilities, or upgrade the space cutting to a high level, and crush everything with force. Brother Mingyang, why don't you just kill those zombies? As expected, as soon as the three of them walked into the library, Suyu asked Wang Mingyang why he cut the human stick. Wang Mingyang coughed twice, and he had a plan in his mind, and he was not panicked at all. Well, I guess, that big rat can start a rat tide to raise goo. We put these zombie human sticks here, maybe we can also give birth to a few first-level mutant creatures. When we meet them, just kill them directly, and we can get 2 crystal cores. Suyu covered his mouth and smiled. Aren't you afraid of creating another second-level mutant rat king? Let's see what you can do then. What's there to be afraid of with the second level? If I meet it now, I will definitely not be the unlucky one. Wang Mingyang raised the corner of his mouth. His current strength is really not inferior to that big rat. Okay. Even if you are not afraid of the second order, what if you attract the third order? Mu Ningxue was obviously a little worried. These are all ordinary zombies, there is no crystal core in their brains, let alone the third order, they don't even look down on the second order. Wang Mingyang shook his head and continued, but it's different below the first order, the effect is still very large. But even if a first-order mutant creature really appears, how do you kill it? Do you plan to stay here and wait for it? Mu Ningxue's eyes moved and looked at Wang Mingyang. It's not impossible to wait for it, but I don't have this plan for the time being. Just treat it as a casual move. Whether it works depends on luck. Wang Mingyang smiled indifferently, not seeming to care so much. His real purpose is not the so-called first-order mutant creature. It is true that he will come to harvest a wave of leaks in 2 days. The empty library hall is full of collapsed bookshelves and various books scattered on the ground. The entire library has 5 floors, divided into 2 major areas, east and west. The first floor is for literature, art, history, geography and general books. The second floor is for military, culture and education. The third floor is for computer technology, automation technology, mathematics, physics and chemistry and other science books. The fourth floor is for language and literature, foreign language books, and various rare ancient books, and the fifth floor is for religious books, social sciences, and philosophy books and periodicals. Wait for me on the first floor, find a rest area, drink some coffee or something. After Wang Mingyang instructed Suyu and Mu Ningxue, he walked straight to the bookshelf. System, start scanning, books detected, range of 5 meters, start scanning. Suyu shrugged and pulled Mu Ningxue, who was a little confused, straight to the rest area in the corner. She was already not surprised by this scene. Is he really planning to read here? Mu Ningxue turned around and glanced doubtfully. That's right. I was in the provincial library and followed him for more than 3 hours. Suyu nodded. Is he a little crazy? It doesn't count. Have you read the 2 books he gave you before? I read one. Is it useful? This, don't tell me, it's really useful. Mu Ningxue thought of something and nodded silently. Really, I thought he was teasing you. Suyu said in surprise. My deceleration move was inspired by the book Frozen Water, Ice he gave me. Mu Ningxue recalled the contents of the book and smiled slightly. So, the fact that he is so strong really has to do with how much he has read. Suyu sat down at a small round table and looked at Wang Mingyang's slowly walking figure with his hands on his chin, saying with some longing. It must be related. The fundamentals of metal science and a brief history of time he often reads are all related to his superpowers. Mu Ningxue casually inserted the horizontal knife into the chair beside her, folded her arms and said calmly. It's a pity that he didn't recommend any books to me. Suyu was a little disappointed. Her superpower had dual attributes. Wang Mingyang said that she just needed to practice more for the time being. You should practice more. I think reading can only increase your cognition and open your mind. Your ability is very lethal, but what you lack is energy reserve. If you can release it dozens or hundreds of times, why do you need any skills? Mu Ningxue smiled slightly. When the two of them cooperated, Suyu's dark flame ability was indeed more powerful. It's a pity that the number of releases is less, otherwise Suyu would be able to kill through the entire residential area without her assistance at all. Chapter 65, Bald Treasure. Taoist Priest, please have mercy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's so difficult. I can only release 5 swords now. It will take me a long time to reach the level you said. Suyu sighed and lay down on the round table. Persevere. If we can get more of those crystal cores, the improvement speed will be much faster. That's right. Brother Mingyang absorbed 1 and was directly promoted to the first level. The steel needle was replaced by a flying sword. Well, just lay a good foundation. He was much stronger than us before he was promoted. Mu Ningxue narrowed her eyes and looked at Wang Mingyang with a look of unwillingness to admit defeat. He awakened much earlier than us, and he must be stronger than us. Suyu's eyes sparkled, thinking of the scene when Wang Mingyang took her out of the provincial library and killed her to Liuhe Baoli Hotel. By the way, when did he awaken his supernatural power? Mu Ningxue sat up straight and looked directly at Suyu. I don't know the exact time, but Brother Mingyang said that he awakened on the day of the end of the world. Suyu recalled the process of communicating with Wang Mingyang. At that time, Wang Mingyang did say that he awakened his superpowers on that day. That's only a few hours earlier than you, and 1 day earlier than me. Is this time difference so big? Mu Ningxue asked puzzledly. Suyu shook his head. I think the problem is not here, but Brother Mingyang seems to have thought more, so he can teach us how to exercise superpowers. Indeed, superpowers are not as unchanging as skills in games. After mastering them, different abilities can be derived. So Brother Mingyang is right to let you read, otherwise you can't use the ability to slow down the range. I think your ability can be like this. The two women kept whispering, and Wang Mingyang kept wandering between the bookshelves. The system quickly scanned various books, and the library in his mind had more and more books. However, this time, Wang Mingyang also found a problem. Many books were repeated with those collected in the provincial library before. System, how to deal with these duplicate books? After scanning all the books, the system will automatically check for duplicates, and only 1 book with the same content will be kept in the library. Okay. It seems that this worry is unnecessary. The system is quite smart, with a built-in duplicate checking function, which makes it much simpler. Otherwise, the dazzling array of books listed together would be dazzling, and there is really no need to have more duplicates. After quickly scanning the first floor, Wang Mingyang said hello to the 2 women and walked upstairs. The 2nd floor has been scanned. The 3rd floor has been scanned. The 4th floor has been scanned. It took 2 hours to scan the 4 floors. Wang Mingyang breathed a sigh of relief, controlled several flying swords to push away the zombie corpses blocking the stairs, and just as he stepped out, his body suddenly froze. It seems that something is wrong. Wang Mingyang frowned and looked around, and the entire 4th floor bookshelf collapsed in a mess. There are still many corpses lying on the ground, and blood and body parts are what they should be. But on the 5th day of the apocalypse, these corpses did not emit a foul smell. this means that these corpses should have been formed yesterday at the earliest. Some of the zombies were killed by Wang Mingyang just now, and the corpses of other zombies would not be older than yesterday. The bodies of zombies are not actually dead, but their consciousness has been eroded and they have become zombies. Therefore, even if the weather is hot, the corpses are still normal except for the wounds gradually rotting, and they will not emit corpse odor. Of course, the places where blood and flesh are scattered all over the ground have already begun to stink. In his previous life, Wang Mingyang had already gotten used to this stench. After his rebirth, he never paid much attention to this problem, but just now, he suddenly realized that there was a difference. Could it be that this fourth floor had been cleaned up by someone? Wang Mingyang observed the corpses on the stairs and scanned the surrounding environment. His eyes gradually became serious, and there were many smash marks on the wall. Some zombies' heads seemed to be flattened by bookshelves, and there were several iron stools with legs stuck in the zombies' heads. This looks very much like man-made. Wang Mingyang silently opened the mustard space, and a large ball of metal floated out, quickly melting into silver-white metal liquid. Stretching out his arms, Wang Mingyang controlled the metal liquid to spread to his whole body. Except for his eyes, ears, mouth and nose, his whole body was covered with a thin layer of titanium alloy. Suffering from the lack of Iron Man's mecha drawings, Wang Mingyang could only leave the joints out to avoid affecting his activities. After doing this layer of protection, Wang Mingyang took more than 20 flying swords and walked up the stairs. The sound of metal friction sounded, and the lobby on the 5th floor gradually appeared in front of him. When Wang Mingyang stood still in the lobby, a stool suddenly flew out from the corner and hit his head directly. He clenched his right fist and smashed it hard, and the wooden stool suddenly broke into pieces, with wood chips flying everywhere. Wang Mingyang turned around a little unnaturally. This temporary metal shell has good protection, but its flexibility is much worse. Another table flew towards him, but Wang Mingyang was too lazy to hit it with his hands. It hurt. 3 flying swords shot out from his side, cutting the table into 4 pieces. The flying swords flew over the table and shot straight to the corner more than 10 meters away. A young man with a ponytail stood there in astonishment. The moment he saw the man's figure clearly, Wang Mingyang trembled all over, and the 3 flying swords stopped in front of the young man. An invisible force resisted the 3 flying swords, and the sword tip seemed to pierce a thin film, pushing out 3 small air cones. As Wang Mingyang's mind moved, the 3 flying swords drew an arc and flew back. The young man's clenched teeth loosened immediately, and he took a deep breath, and the thin film disappeared immediately. "Why, did you attack me?" Wang Mingyang looked at the familiar figure in front of him, and didn't even notice that his voice was trembling. "I'm really sorry, I just wanted to try my hand." The young man calmed his heartbeat and showed an embarrassed smile. The metal armor on his body slowly melted, revealing Wang Mingyang's handsome cheeks. "I don't think you are just trying these 2 times. If I can't catch it, the table can smash my head." Didn't you catch it? "I saw your fight just now, and I have confidence in your strength." The young man reached out and touched his ponytail, grinning. "What's your name, and why are you here?" Wang Mingyang concealed the metal ball formed by the melted armor, suppressed the throbbing in his heart, nodded and asked calmly. "Blessings and infinite heavenly master. My name is Li Yuchan, and I am a disciple of Changchun Temple in Weishan County, Nanzhou City." The young man's face was solemn. He stood up straight with his legs together, pinched the Tai Chi seal with his hands, leaned forward slightly and saluted with the Ziwu Ju. A flash of reminiscence flashed in Wang Mingyang's eyes, and then a sly smile appeared on his face. He stood with his hands clasped on his right chest, leaned forward slightly and bowed his hands in return. "Lao Gabao. Taoist Master, please be merciful." Chapter 66, Mental Telekinesis. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Skinny baby. Li Yuchan's face darkened when he heard this. He could no longer maintain his Taoist master's demeanor. His neck became stiff, and the veins on his forehead jumped. "You damn bastard, how do you know I'm not the cicada? Then are you the toad of Toad?" Wang Mingyang put his hands on his back and walked forward slowly with 8-figure steps. His lips could not suppress the pride. I'm a toad's toad, but you can't give me such a nickname as soon as we meet." Li Yuchan's face stiffened and he argued forcefully. The problem is, you didn't tell me your ID number. Wang Mingyang spread his hands and said helplessly, with a smile on his lips. I haven't given you a number yet. Li Yuchan was speechless again, feeling speechless for a moment. I can't help complaining in my heart, it's all my fault for that stinky old man, he had to let him finish college and get his diploma before he was given a Taoist number. It's really, and look, what are the common names here? He has been ridiculed for being a skinny boy more than once, even this guy, whom he had just met for the first time, understood his real name accurately. If I choose the name, Li Yuchan, even though it's a bit girly, it still makes sense. Okay Lei Bao, you don't have a nickname, so I can only call you this. It's so smooth. Wang Mingyang didn't take it seriously at all. He walked up to Li Yuchan and put his arms around his shoulders, with a familiar look on his face. Hey, we don't know each other very well, don't be like this. Li Yuchan quickly broke away from Wang Mingyang's arm, quickly took a few steps back, and patted his shoulder with a look of disgust. Holy shit, what do you mean? Don't you want to be friends with me? Come on, let's calculate the debt for your sneak attack on me. Wang Mingyang shouted, and with a wave of his hand, more than 20 flying swords around him flew up at the same time, all pointing at Li Yuchan. No. I was wrong. In fact, I really want to be friends with you. Li Yuchan suddenly broke out in cold sweat, waved his hands repeatedly, and said with a tangled look on his face. Really? You're not lying to me? Really? More real than gold. TCH, with your kidney-deficient look on your face, where can you really go? Li Yuchan's face darkened, as if something was stuck in his throat, and he didn't know whether to say some dirty words or not. With a thought in Wang Mingyang's mind, the flying sword flew back again, gathered into a ball of molten metal, and silently flew into his pocket and entered the mustard space. However, for the sake of your sincerity, I forgive you. When Li Yuchan heard this, his face was tangled for a while, but he also realized that the person in front of him obviously didn't really want to embarrass him. What's your name? Wang Mingyang. Wang Mingyang. Ocean of oceans, don't forget it. Wang Mingyang waved his hand, turned on the system scan, and continued walking among the bookshelves. Why are you here? There is nothing to eat or drink. Li Yuchan asked in confusion as he looked at Wang Mingyang's figure wandering around. Come here to read some books. What about you, why are you here? Wang Mingyang replied without looking back, constantly sorting out his thoughts in his mind. In his previous life, Wang Mingyang met Li Yuchan 1 year after the end of the world. During the time when Wang Mingyang got along with Li Yuchan did not look down on him at all. Wang Mingyang, who was a third-level superpower at that time, saved Wang Mingyang from danger more than once. Because of their similar personalities, the two became close friends. At that time, Taoist Master Lei Bao was already a powerful 5th-level spiritual power user, and what he had awakened was the telekinesis power in the spiritual system. It stands to reason that with Li Yuchan's potential, he can definitely become a 9th-level powerhouse and dominate one side in the future. Unfortunately, Li Yuchan finally fell into the hands of a corpse emperor in a major event in the 3rd year of the apocalypse. Wang Mingyang did not expect that in this life, he would be on the 5th floor of the Jian University Library on the 5th day of the apocalypse. In advance, he met his good brother from his previous life, a Taoist disciple whom he had always jokingly called the Taoist Priest Lei Bao. Li Yuchan. When the zombies broke out, I was reading here. Li Yuchan replied matter-of-factly. When did you awaken your spiritual power? Wang Mingyang was speechless. There was nothing wrong with this answer. How do you know I have mental power? Li Yuchan asked curiously. If it's not mental power, how can it be controlled by the wood element? Wang Mingyang rolled his eyes and mocked. Li Yuchan glanced at the torn wooden tables and chairs on the ground and scratched his head. Not long after the zombies broke out, I awakened this ability. It's quite useful. Awakening superpowers on the first day of the apocalypse is the same as the answer Wang Mingyang asked in the previous life. In this life, he will definitely not let Li Yuchan make the same mistake again, and will keep him by his side no matter what. Now Wang Mingyang is fully capable of protecting and cultivating him, and Wang Mingyang also knew very well that the power that Li Yuchan awakened was the A-level telepathy power. Tai Divine Mind. This name was chosen by Li Yuchan himself. In his words, as a disciple of Taoism, how can the powers he awakens not have something to do with Taoism? Tai Divine Mind is extremely powerful. Compared with the 5 to 10 meters control range of other telepathic powers when awakened, the initial control range of Tai Divine Mind reaches 20 meters. Li Yuchan continued to hone his spiritual power based on the theories recorded in Taoist classics. This makes his powers become more and more powerful, and various methods of use are derived, with endless wonderful uses. To put it simply, Li Yuchan's ability is not to be able to shape various metal objects like Wang Mingyang, give him some flying swords, and Li Yuchan can be like Wang Mingyang, waving his hand and making a rain of swords fill the sky, making him a true swordsman in the world. Under the same conditions, Li Yuchan's Tai Divine Sense can only do a better job than Wang Mingyang in controlling details. The speed and power of the flying sword's piercing are even stronger than Wang Mingyang's metal control ability. Did you clean up the zombies on the 4th floor? Why didn't you see any corpses on the 5th floor? Wang Mingyang asked calmly. Oh, I went to the 4th floor to look for food, and I cleaned up the ones on the 5th floor. I threw them downstairs. I've been here for a few days, but I can't bear to be mixed with a bunch of corpses. Li Yuchan nodded and said with a disgusted face. You haven't gone out these days? No, there is food and drink in the rest area anyway. There are too many zombies outside, I can't rush out. Wang Mingyang shook his head. He had just awakened his superpower, and Li Yuchan had not explored enough how to use Tai's divine mind. Otherwise, how could he not be able to get out? But this is also a blessing. It is precisely because he did not leave the library that Wang Mingyang can meet Li Yuchan now. This means that Wang Mingyang has more opportunities and time. Let this brother, who was so talented in his previous life, take off directly on the spot. Window, _tabula equals window, _tabula dot push, mode, thumbs, feed, 01, container, tabula below article feed, placement, below article feed, target _type, mix. Chapter 67 New member. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wang Mingyang scanned the last area, turned his head and asked. I will leave in a while, what are your plans? I don't know, I came here to study, and I haven't received my diploma yet. I can't go back to Changchun Temple in this situation. Li Yuchan said helplessly. Hee. Don't think about it, you probably won't get this diploma in your lifetime. Wang Mingyang laughed immediately. It's already this time, and this guy is still thinking about getting a diploma. It's probably because Li Yuchan's unlucky master told him that he can't get a number without a diploma. No way. Are these zombies not over? Of course, the end of the world has come. Brother, Yunnan University has become history. It's like this, the government can't not take rescue measures. Li Yuchan still holds a glimmer of fantasy. Wang Mingyang pondered for a moment, shook his head and said, in fact, in this situation, I think the army has also suffered heavy losses. It is not easy to reorganize the forces to carry out rescue. It's the 5th day, it should be soon. Even if the government can rescue, so what? It's just relying on others. If they find out your telekinesis ability, they might ask you to move bricks at the construction site. Wang Mingyang smiled evilly. Li Yuchan moving bricks really happened in his previous life. In the early days of the apocalypse, it seemed that the shelter built by the army at that time was besieged by zombies. When there was a gap in the defense line, Li Yuchan, who could manipulate objects in a large range, was directly requisitioned to move stones to block the gap. The Tai Divine Mind, which had not yet become strong, was reduced to a small cart at the construction site. Damn, such an awesome ability, it's too cheap to use it to move bricks. Li Yuchan said speechlessly, then where are you going? If not, I'll go with you. This is obviously the result Wang Mingyang wanted, but he still had to give Li Yuchan a shot of prevention first. You can follow us, but you have to listen to my command in the future. Can you do it? You mean, let me recognize you as the boss? Li Yuchan tilted his head and looked at Wang Mingyang. Almost. Do you think I don't have the qualifications? Wang Mingyang turned around, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and the only 4 flying swords around him trembled slightly. Yes, 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 I will listen to you in the future. Li Yuchan looked at the 4 flying swords pointing at him. Although he knew that Wang Mingyang was joking, he couldn't help but twitch his mouth and nodded helplessly. Ha! That's good, you will follow me in the future. I guarantee you will have delicious food and spicy drinks. Wang Mingyang laughed, and the 4 flying swords turned into 4 silver beads and fell into his pocket. He continued to scan the remaining books with satisfaction. Li Yuchan saw Wang Mingyang turn around, shook his head and smiled helplessly. He awakened the spiritual power and his personal perception was relatively sharp. He knew very well that Wang Mingyang had no hostility towards him just now. However, in this brief exchange, Wang Mingyang's temperament was very much to his taste. After a long while, Wang Mingyang finally scanned the books in the entire library, full of harvest, after eliminating some duplicate books. Wang Mingyang's system library has added hundreds of thousands of books. Among them, there are also many out-of-print ancient books, but it is estimated that these books are not very useful. There are also those literary novels, which do not contain much knowledge, and most of them are the author's fantasy. The probability of extracting supernatural powers from such books should be very small, and like the previous book Flat Country, Wang Mingyang has not had time to read it. However, this book has a rich imagination of space, and many ideas are based on real spatial knowledge. Wang Mingyang judged that after reading it, he should be inspired a lot. For this type of novel, Wang Mingyang did not completely give up, but listed it as the next level in the reading order. Just treat it as a way to relieve stress after studying hard. Back to the rest area, greeted Li Yuchan. Let's go, Lai Gabao, let's leave here. Damn it, Wang Mingyang, can you please stop calling me that? Li Yuchan, who was originally reading with his legs crossed, suddenly felt bad. I know, Lai Gabao, there are 2 girls waiting for me downstairs. Are you going to leave or not? Wang Mingyang waved his hand, not caring at all. Let's go. Li Yuchan slapped his head. Forget it, for the sake of the girls, I won't argue with you. Wang Mingyang shook his head, laughed, and was about to turn around and walk downstairs. Li Yuchan patted his butt and threw the philosophy book on the table. The 5 big words women's heart attack were listed. When Wang Mingyang saw the big words on the cover from the corner of his eye, the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. It's you, Lai Gabao. You are always ready to eat swan meat. In fact, in his previous life, Wang Mingyang knew that Li Yuchan was a person who looked careless but was extremely rich in heart. This little Taoist priest who shouted Fusheng Wuyang Tianzuan whenever he saw someone, although he usually liked to comment on various beauties with him, did not even break his boyhood skills until his death. The 2 of them quickly went downstairs and walked to the first floor hall. Wang Mingyang shouted directly at the 2 women. Suyu and Mu Ningxue quickly stood up and walked towards Wang Mingyang, and suddenly saw Li Yuchan walking down the stairs behind Wang Mingyang. The 2 of them suddenly paused, and their fingers holding the horizontal sword tightened a bit. Don't be nervous, this is Li Yuchan, you can just call him Lai Gabao. Wang Mingyang turned sideways and pointed at Li Yuchan and said. Lai Gabao. Suyu and Mu Ningxue looked at each other, somewhat speechless. Ahem, may you be blessed with infinite blessings. Don't listen to his nonsense, beauties. My name is Li Yuchan, and I am a disciple of Changchun Temple in Weishan County, Nanzhou City. Li Yuchan's face darkened, he rolled his eyes at Wang Mingyang, coughed twice, took 2 steps forward, and bowed to the 2 women. Oh, hello, Taoist Priest. Suyu was a little overwhelmed when he saw Li Yuchan bowing so solemnly. Taoist Priest, be merciful. Mu Ningxue returned the greeting with a fist, obviously knowing some Taoist etiquette. Li Yuchan stood up with a smile on his face, and returned to the posture of an ordinary person. Lao Gabao is our new member, and he has officially joined our team. Wang Mingyang said calmly. Suyu, Mu Ningxue, Li Yuchan kept smiling. He had given up changing this man, but he still had to save the 2 beauties in front of him. You can just call me Li Yuchan, Yuchan or Shaoli. You don't need to call me Taoist Priest. I haven't officially become a registered Taoist priest yet. Lai Gabao is quite friendly, Datsuyu blinked and looked at Mu Ningxue. The two girls covered their mouths and laughed at the same time. Li Yuchan was very upset and sighed helplessly. Sure enough, those who are close to ink will always be a little darker. Okay, I won't tease you anymore. Let's call you Xiao Li. My name is Mu Ningxue. Mu Ningxue smiled and introduced herself. My name is Su Yu, I'm 22 years old this year. If you are younger than me, I will call you Xiao Li. Su Yu looked at Li Yuchan and said with a smile. Yeah, hello, two beautiful sisters. I'm 21 this year. Just call me Xiao Li. Li Yuchan was overjoyed when he heard this. He nodded and bowed to greet her. There was no trace of the Taoist master's demeanor just now. It seems that these two beauties are quite considerate of his face. Thinking of this, Li Yuchan even raised an eyebrow at Wang Mingyang. Okay, everyone knows each other. Wang Mingyang nodded, not bothering to pay attention to Li Yuchan's little movements. Li Yuchan has the ability of mental telekinesis and is quite strong. With his joining, our next actions will be safer. Brother Mingyang, what are we going to do next? Wang Mingyang glanced at the clock hanging on the wall of the hall. It's a bit late now. I plan to find a place to stay first, and then look for the Biological Research Laboratory of Yunnan University. Chapter 68 Biological Research Laboratory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Biological Laboratory. The other three were stunned at the same time. This target was a bit out of the circle. Wang Mingyang nodded affirmatively, his tone calm. Yes, it is the Biological Laboratory. Lai Gabao, you are studying here, do you know where this Biological Laboratory is? Wang Mingyang looked at Li Yuchan. There are many laboratories in Yunnan University, but he didn't know the specific location. He could only hope that Li Yuchan, who was studying here, could find out. This. I haven't noticed it. If you want to say who knows, it is probably only the teachers and students of the Department of Life Sciences. I know some information, but I don't know the specific location. Mu Ningxue thought for a while and said. It doesn't matter, tell me. Wang Mingyang looked surprised. How come this girl knows a little bit about everything? Yunnan University has many biological research laboratories, including paleontology, biodiversity, animal genetics, plants and other research departments. There are also many that cooperate with the outside world, and most of the laboratories are in other places. Mu Ningxue stroked her hair at the temples, and seeing Wang Mingyang frowning, she continued, I don't know what kind of research laboratory you are looking for, but the ones that are still in the main campus should be biological genes and animal genetics. Wang Mingyang nodded, that's about right, I need to verify some things. I don't know the specific location either. Find a guide sign and go directly to the School of Life Sciences. There must be survivors there. Just let them lead the way when the time comes. Mu Ningxue looked calm. I know the location of the School of Life Sciences. It's a bit far from here. Li Yuchan raised his hand and said. Well, you know the location, that's great. Let's find a place to stay first, and then go there. Wang Mingyang smiled slightly. Now it's the end of the 7th day of the apocalypse, and there is still enough time to do something. A place to stay. Do you just want to have a meal, or do you plan to stay for a few days? Li Yuchan asked. Well, stay for a few days. There are still some things to deal with at Yunnan University. That's easy. Just find a teacher's apartment. It's spacious. Let's go directly to the School of Life Sciences and find the nearest dormitory building. Wang Mingyang made the final decision. The other three didn't care and just followed his instructions. The zombies outside the library had been cleared by Wang Mingyang and his three friends before, and some of them wandered over from other places one after another. The four of them walked out of the library, and Wang Mingyang casually grabbed a handful of small metal balls from his pocket. In Li Yuchan's stunned expression, he shaped 9 flying swords like dough and handed them to him directly. Here, this is the control object for you. Tables, chairs and benches are not so easy to kill zombies. Li Yuchan took the flying sword with a look of surprise. It was not so heavy. The flying sword made of titanium alloy was sharp and tough. The biggest advantage was that it was light. This will save Li Yuchan a lot of mental power loss. His Tai divine mind is different from Wang Mingyang's metal control, it is a pure mental power. When awakening the power, the physical enhancement is limited, but the mental power will increase significantly. Thank you, it is really practical. Li Yuchan tried to control the 9 flying swords. After trying it, he suddenly found that 9 flying swords were exactly the most suitable number for him to operate at present. Under extreme conditions, this number can certainly be increased a lot, but the mental power loss will increase, which is very tiring. Su Yu and Mu Ningxue looked at each other, and there was confusion in their eyes. Based on their understanding of Wang Mingyang in the past few days, he seemed to trust Li Yuchan too much, and he didn't even have the intention of testing. Although puzzled, the 2 women kept silent. This team was centered on Wang Mingyang from the beginning, and the 2 women knew their positions very well. Let's go, find a place to live first. Wang Mingyang drew out the horizontal sword Mo-ing. Now with Li Yuchan and Mu Ningxue, there are already 3 long-range shooters. Although it was lethal, Wang Mingyang still wanted to test his current physical strength. In his previous life, he was promoted to the 5th level, relying more on the strength of his physical body. After all, his 5 superpowers were really weak. Close combat power was the foundation of his survival before. In this life, even if he had the Zhutian Reading System, he could absorb various powerful superpowers. However, Wang Mingyang felt that, apart from superpowers, his own combat power could not be ignored. Leading the way out along the passage in front of the library, Wang Mingyang chose the other side instead of returning to the teaching area. There are now a large number of zombies gathered there, and there is really no need to clean them up at this moment. 2 days later, these are all mature leaks. Go along this road, there is a crossroads, and the School of Life Sciences is on the north. After walking through this passage, Li Yuchan pointed to the left. Over there. It seems. But the crossroads is too close to the teaching building of the School of Information, and there must be a lot of zombies. Wang Mingyang looked in the direction of Li Yuchan's finger, searching for the memory in his mind, and frowned. Indeed, but there is a supermarket and a large cafeteria over there, and the dormitories of several nearby colleges are also over there. Li Yuchan introduced the situation. There is not much food in the backpack, so we can only use what is available. Let's go to the supermarket first. Wang Mingyang thought about it. He didn't want to expose the mustard space for the time being. He carried a backpack before going out, and he didn't bring much. There is no need to think about the large cafeteria. It has been the 5th day, and the food inside may have rotted a long time ago. Okay, you decide. Li Yuchan spread his hands, looking indifferent. Then let's go, be careful on the road. Wang Mingyang raised his feet and walked towards the crossroads. There were not many zombies along the way, but he did not take the initiative to attack. Li Yuchan and Mu Ningxue became the main force, and the scattered zombies were killed by the 2 of them more than 10 meters away. When they were about to reach the crossroads, Wang Mingyang called out and took the 3 people along the trees and corners along the way, trying to avoid fighting with zombies along the way. The 4 of them walked and stopped, crossed the crossroads silently, and walked towards the north. It seems that because of the little noise Wang Mingyang made before, many zombies nearby were attracted away. After walking for 500 meters, they arrived near the teaching building of the School of Information, and the number of zombies gradually increased. Wang Mingyang squatted behind the slope and looked around. There are dozens of zombies downstairs in the teaching building, and there are still many in the corridor upstairs. We will go forward along the wall of the 1st floor later. Compared to the square in front of the teaching building, Wang Mingyang prefers to go through the back door. Although this will deviate a little from the direction, there are fewer zombies to be cleaned up. The 3 nodded and followed closely behind Wang Mingyang. Wang Mingyang crouched and ran quickly to the wall more than 10 meters away, encountering 2 zombies along the way. Without waiting for Li Yuchan and Mu Ningxue to take action, the horizontal sword Mo-ing quickly slashed across the necks of the 2 zombies. The 2 heads rolled down, and the bodies slowly collapsed. Su Yu and the other 2 crouched and followed closely, quickly avoiding the zombies in the square and rushing straight into the shadow of the teaching building. Chapter 69 I'll pay 5 million. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Following the wall of the teaching building, the four of them cleared a small number of zombies and gradually approached the other end of the teaching building. When passing the last classroom on the first floor, two faces suddenly appeared on the window. Ah! There are people. Yu accidentally glanced at the window and was immediately startled by the two faces. Wang Mingyang looked up and saw two boys with surprised faces on the closed window. Standing up and looking into the classroom, Wang Mingyang found that there were no zombies in this classroom, and a pile of tables, chairs, and benches blocked the doors and windows facing the square tightly. It is estimated that the two boys reacted quickly when the zombies broke out, so they survived. Glancing at the two people, Wang Mingyang frowned and waved to the three to continue moving forward. Seeing that they were about to leave, the two boys suddenly became anxious and quickly opened the window. "Hey, don't leave. Come back quickly. Save us!" The slightly anxious voice immediately attracted more than a dozen zombies on the side trail. The zombies all turned their heads and looked over in the direction of the voice. The figures of Wang Mingyang and the other four were immediately exposed to the eyes of these zombies. "Fuck! What the hell are you yelling about?" Wang Mingyang was immediately angry. "These two unlucky guys, just yell, can't you be a little quieter? Is it scary to attract zombies?" "Not scary, but it's a pity." Wang Mingyang took the three people along the way to hide if he could, and didn't kill them if he could. Why is this? Is it because they can't beat them? Absolutely not. With the current combat power of the four people, even if they encounter hundreds or thousands of zombies, they can retreat safely. The reason why Wang Mingyang didn't choose to crush them all the way was for the crystal core that might appear in 2 days. By then, these ordinary zombies will definitely be leaks. The boys' shout and the noise made by more than a dozen zombies attracted more than that. More than a dozen zombies roared and ran towards him with their stiff hands and feet. Although their bodies were still alive, the blood flow in their bodies had slowed down, and their bodies were also a little stiff. However, the speed of running was still not slow, and it was no problem to catch up with a living person who was missing the 5 elements of morality, intelligence, physical fitness, aesthetics and labor. "Quickly clean up these dozen, let's go into the classroom first." Wang Mingyang signaled Li Yuchan and Mu Ningxue to quickly clean up these zombies, and he raised the sword in his hand and pointed it at the two boys. "Stand back!" As Wang Mingyang shouted, the two boys retreated in fear. Wang Mingyang exerted force on his feet, jumped lightly onto the window more than 1 meter high, grabbed the window sill and jumped in directly. "Suyu, you come up first," Wang Mingyang said without looking back, and Suyu immediately jumped up after hearing the words, and the next moment she jumped over the window beautifully. "Look at them. If you dare to yell again, I'll just chop them." Okay, Suyu was stunned. She had chopped off many zombies, but she had never killed a living person. However, she nodded quickly in response. She took a step forward, put the horizontal knife on the necks of the two men, and looked at the two boys with a hint of murderous intent and warning. The two college students didn't expect that they would attract two killers with just one shout instead of calling for a savior. The murderous intent in Wang Mingyang's words and the sharp horizontal knife on the neck made the two boys shut their mouths wisely, not daring to speak again. "Lai Gabao, Mu Ningxue, you come up, I'll cover you." Wang Mingyang lay on the window and casually threw out more than a dozen flying swords, shooting at the zombies running around the corner with a slight whistling sound. Li Yuchan and Mu Ningxue had already cleared 7 or 8 zombies. Only a few of the zombies that were attracted at the beginning were still rushing over here, but zombies could be seen faintly rushing over at the corner, at least 20. Wang Mingyang controlled the flying sword to cut off the zombies' necks, trying not to hurt their brains. Li Yuchan and Mu Ningxue quickly jumped into the classroom under Wang Mingyang's cover. Seeing that both of them landed safely, Wang Mingyang opened fire. More than a dozen flying swords flew out of his sleeves again, cutting dozens of zombies that followed like cutting melons and vegetables. Heads rolled to the ground, and zombie bodies lay on the ground in all directions. Wang Mingyang quickly retracted the flying sword until there were no zombies at the corner for the time being. He shook off the blood stains and quietly opened the mustard seed space. Flying swords flew into his sleeves like swifts returning to their nests. Wang Mingyang reached out to close the window and then pulled the curtains, and the light in the classroom suddenly dimmed. At the corner of the teaching building, dozens of zombies emerged again, but they couldn't find their target. The zombie heads on the ground were still biting the air with their bloody mouths. "Tell me. What's going on with you?" Wang Mingyang turned around, grabbed a stool, sat on it with his legs crossed, and looked at the two trembling college students with a gloomy face. The two boys looked at each other, and the taller boy with a shaved head cleared his throat and spoke. "Ahem, we are." "Keep your voice down. Are you afraid that the zombies outside don't know someone is here?" Wang Mingyang looked at the two impatiently, his eyes narrowed and his voice was low. The shaved boy was startled, and his throat seemed to be choked with saliva. He covered his mouth and his face flushed, but he didn't dare to make a sound. "You tell me." Wang Mingyang pointed to the other boy with messy hair. "Oh, my name is Fang Lei, and his name is Zhou Ming. We are junior students majoring in software engineering. That day, after lunch, we came to the classroom to get something on the way back to the dormitory. Unexpectedly, zombies broke out." Fang Lei recounted the experiences of the two of them in the past few days. The two of them were lucky. When the zombies broke out, they were the only ones in the classroom. After getting the things and walking to the door of the classroom, they saw the zombies breaking out outside the classroom. The two of them reacted quickly and closed the door directly. They quickly moved many tables, chairs and benches to block the doors and windows, and survived for 5 days relying on the lunch they got at noon, but the two of them really couldn't bear it anymore. They didn't drink a drop of water in 5 days, and the classroom was filled with the stench of excrement. Just now, I accidentally saw Wang Mingyang and his 4 people passing by, and I couldn't help but want to ask for help. I didn't expect to attract so many zombies, let alone whether Wang Mingyang and his people were willing to save them. "Brother, please save us. I really can't stand it anymore." The buzz-cut man Zhou Ming finally calmed down. After Fang Lei finished speaking, his knees softened and he knelt down, begging in a low voice. Wang Mingyang looked at Zhou Ming expressionlessly, without moving his eyes. "Brother, please save us. As long as you are willing to save us, I will ask my dad to give you 1 million yuan after we get out." "No. 5 million yuan." Fang Lei saw that the leading man didn't say anything, so he knelt down with a plop and leaned over to say with a crying voice. "Heh." Wang Mingyang laughed. "This kid is a little confused about the situation. I don't have time to save you. We will leave in a while. If you are not afraid of death, go out through the window by yourself. We have cleaned up a lot of zombies outside. If you want to survive, you can do the rest yourself." Chapter 70 Plastic Brothers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Fang Lei heard this, he suddenly raised his tear-stained face and said anxiously. No, brother, we don't have the ability. Zombies are too scary. I can ask my dad to add money. How about 10 million? As long as you are willing to save me." The meaning of Fang Lei's words was immediately understood by several people present. This is to ask Wang Mingyang and the others to save only him, for which he can offer 10 million. Apparently he thought that the reason why Wang Mingyang and the others were unwilling to save them was because they thought it was unsafe to carry 2 people with them. In order to survive, he chose to abandon Zhou Ming without hesitation. Su Yu and the others looked at the college student named Fang Lei with a hint of disgust in their eyes, and looked at Zhou Ming with a hint of sympathy. "Fang Lei, we are good brothers. In order to take care of you these days, I went hungry myself and gave most of the food to you. How could you do this to me?" Zhou Ming trembled when he heard this, and immediately said in a low voice. "So what? I usually feed you and drink for you, but you can pay me back these days. If you hadn't said that Yan Kiki would come to see us play, I would have gone home long ago. How could I have encountered such a thing?" Fang Lei roared at the top of his lungs, his hands clenching tightly on the ground with a look of resentment on his face. Yan Ko is the newly promoted freshman beauty of Yunnan University last year, and Fang Lei has been pursuing her. As a second-generation rich man, Fang Lei was shocked when he first met him at the beginning of school and began to pursue her crazily. But after more than half a year, it had no effect. It wasn't until Zhou Ming found out that Yan Kiki liked to play basketball that he took Fang Lei to practice together, hoping to help him achieve his wish. Unexpectedly, one weekend, zombies broke out, and the two of them were trapped in the classroom. Life or death is unknown. Wang Mingyang looked at the two of them fighting with a mocking look on his face. Zhou Ming could tell at a glance that he was a younger brother, enjoying life and drinking hot food on the lap of a rich second generation, but he didn't expect that they didn't take him seriously at all. These two people obviously don't know yet that the entire blue star has fallen. I thought these zombies were caused by a virus and only wreaked havoc near this university town or in Xiqing district. Okay, you two, stop arguing. Zombies have broken out all over Blue Star, and the end of the world has come. Fang Lei, don't show off with your father's little money. I don't know whether your father is alive or not, but his money is just a pile of waste paper now, worthless. As I said before, if you want to survive, you have to fight for it. Ignoring the two good brothers who were struck by lightning, Wang Mingyang stood up and walked to the window, opened a corner of the curtain and peeked out. Brother, have these zombies really exploded across Blue Star? Li Yuchan walked to Wang Mingyang's side with a sullen face and asked in a low tone. What do you think? You are on the 5th floor of the library, so you can see quite far. Wang Mingyang said in a calm tone without looking back. Li Yuchan nodded gloomily and said bitterly. Well, you can see from a distance. On the day when the zombies broke out, many planes fell from the sky. There were explosions everywhere, and the sky was full of flames at night. That's right, this disaster is global. But it shouldn't be caused by a virus. The zombie outbreak happened at the same time. A virus can't do this. Wang Mingyang nodded and said with certainty. Hey, I wonder how the old Taoist priest is doing. Li Yuchan muttered to himself, thinking of the master in Changchun Temple. When Wang Mingyang heard this, he hesitated to speak. In the last life, he heard Li Yuchan say that Li Yuchan had returned to Changchun Temple. Unfortunately, most of his master and other people in the Taoist temple have turned into zombies. The survivors had already left, and when he returned, all he saw was a dilapidated Taoist temple covered in zombie bloodstains. Even his master was finally killed by Li Yuchan himself, but now, it's impossible for him to say this. It's better to keep Li Yuchan in the dark for the time being. People have their own destiny. Wang Mingyang spit out such a nutritious sentence. What to do with those two guys? Do you want to save them? Li Yuchan gathered his emotions, pouted at the two boys, and asked tentatively. TCH. Do you still want to save such rich young men and useless plastic brothers? Wang Mingyang smiled disdainfully, with a mocking look on his face. Even though they are so different, after all, they still have two lives. Li Yuchan scratched the ponytail on the back of his head, feeling a little unnatural. Bao Bao, I treat you as a friend, and I will teach you something today. Wang Mingyang looked at Li Yuchan with a serious face, put his arms around his neck, and brought his face close to his. In the end of the world, life is like a piece of grass. Taking care of yourself is the first iron rule. Taoism emphasizes conforming to the destiny of heaven, and Tao follows nature. What does the fate of others have to do with you? When Li Yuchan heard this, he couldn't help but rolled his eyes and retorted, we Taoists still pay attention to, my fate is up to me and not up to heaven. That's right. This sentence refers to your own life, not other people's lives. Of course you have to fight for your own destiny. Of course, for example, your best friend Wang Mingyang, apart from your beloved relatives and friends, think about other strangers, who is worth your life. Li Yuchan looked disgusted when he heard this, but his eyes were thoughtful. Do you think it's worth taking the huge risk to save these two plastic brothers? Wang Mingyang is good at tempting, but he doesn't want this close friend from his previous life to be dragged down again, causing him to be jealous of his talents and fall halfway. Well, what you said makes sense, but... Li Yuchan was obviously shaken, but not much. There is no but, brother, the apocalypse is coming, and the road ahead will be long. You will see more people's hearts that are even darker than this. Wang Mingyang directly interrupted Li Yuchan's words and instilled the idea of survival in the apocalypse seriously. The only people worth saving are your truly beloved relatives and friends, or truly pure and kind people. Believe me, I won't harm you. You will find out how correct my words are in the future. Li Yuchan raised his head and looked directly into Wang Mingyang's eyes. At this moment, his mental perception was running involuntarily, however, from Wang Mingyang's eyes, he only felt deep concern, a trace of worry, and a trace of inexplicable distress. Li Yuchan clearly sensed the man in front of him whom he had only met for a few hours. I really do care about him, although he didn't know why, Wang Mingyang would be so confident to him, with concern and distress. Concern, feeling distressed. Could it be, Li Yuchan seemed to have thought of something and stood frozen on the spot as if struck by lightning. He quickly broke away from Wang Mingyang's arm and backed away, while rubbing his hands back and forth on his arms, he spoke quickly. I know, I believe you, just make your decision, I fully support it. Wang Mingyang looked at Li Yuchan's movements strangely, and looked at his palms in surprise. Don't you have anything strange in your hand? There are no trick items like itching powder. What are you scratching there, you little pimple baby? However, he was able to initially convince Li Yuchan. Wang Mingyang is already very satisfied with this.